Gaming Bolt presents 15 most ridiculous video game marketing campaigns of all time. We have a lot to cover here, so let us dive right in. Skyrim, name your child Dovahkiin. Would you name your baby Dovahkiin is used in the highly popular The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim to win every Bethesda game for life? That was the challenge Bethesda Softworks threw out there nearing Skyrim's premiere. What's crazy about this marketing ploy? A couple actually did it. Resident Evil 6 Butcher Shop. A pop-up butcher shop in London, England going by the name Wesker & Son cut up meat and shaped them into human anatomy. This stunt, obviously designed by Capcom to promote Resident Evil 6, was a bit extreme. Luckily, all proceeds did go to a UK charity that helped amputee victims and those who've lost limbs. The lesson? Love games, by purchasing meat and donating money over a nice human-shaped meal. Sony PSP racist marketing. Sony gets a lot of things right, but in some eyes, they tend to get a lot of things really wrong. Such as this ad focusing on the PSP white version. The ad focused on a heavily powdered person in all-white clothing and extremely white hair, forcibly handling a black person with the words, "PlayStation Portable White is coming." Microsoft, life is too short. Microsoft let this little doozy free this time, but it's really not terrible, but extremely odd. It starts off with a baby shooting out of a woman giving birth, out the hospital window, and strangely enough, he begins to age as he flies through the sky, high above the land until he ends up in his coffin. The ad was called Life is Too Short, and this commercial proved it. Burnout 2, paid speeding ticket. Now this is just down and out reckless, unsafe, and wrong of Acclaim to think this was even remotely a good idea. Acclaim were advertising Burnout 2 for PS2 by paying speeding tickets received on the day the game was released. Now this was only in the UK, but deaths by reckless speeding happened by the hundreds each year, and this was beyond a bad idea. Shadow Man 2, advertising on tombstones. Acclaim was at it again with what they called deadvertising for their sequel Shadow Man 2. This is a little less dangerous than getting drivers to speed through the streets of London, but it was much more invasive. Workers for Acclaim went to cemeteries and placed ads for Shadow Man 2 on gravestones of the dead. Sadly enough still, some of the families were still there mourning the loss of their loved ones. It was just one nail in Acclaim's coffin as they were nearing their own inevitable end. Red Faction Guerrilla, car stunt. When Red Faction Guerrilla was about to release, the marketing department at THQ decided it would be a great idea to lock up about 100 copies of the new game in a car on a London street, chain a sledgehammer to it, and let people come by and have at the car until it was busted open and the copies were retrieved. This was a somewhat great idea. Those looking to blow off some steam could do so by blasting away at a car and possibly get a free game at the same time. Unfortunately, it was parked at a busy street, so half good idea, half bad? Dead Rising Riptide, Torso Edition. This next one is the collector's edition of Dead Rising Riptide Torso Edition. A severed torso of a woman's body in a UK-printed bikini was designed as the casing for the next Dead Rising game. Arms, legs, and head were misplaced with bloody stumps, which really offended a lot of people, making this one of the more gross collectibles out there. Mass Effect 3, Game in Space. EA are often full of great ideas. Don't forget that they're full of bad ones too. This next one is more of a hit or miss. EA's marketing team got the brilliant idea to shoot a few copies of the yet-to-be-released Mass Effect 3 into space attached to a rocket. They made it to space safely alright, and a couple copies were retrieved. As the last copy came down, it got hung up in a tree, causing a group of people to try and get that free copy. So it worked out for the most part. Luckily, no one was seriously injured. Bulletstorm, sending raw meat. This one is just disgusting. A little marketing stunt had video game journalists and bloggers from all around receiving what looked like igloo freezer packs, the kind taken on camping trips to store beverages, that contained actual raw packaged meat, similar to what's sold in grocery stores. It was to represent mutilated bodies like in the game itself. Microsoft, zero interest in Xbox. Come on, Microsoft. This shouldn't have even been an issue. Hopefully the marketing team got fired for this one. Trying to get people excited about Xbox 360 during Christmas, the Xbox India team released an ad that read, "After this, your interest in an Xbox could be zero," trying to come across as a payment plan type purchase that follows with 0% interest, processing fees, down payment. Yes, it's a bit odd that something like that got through. An Xbox India's Twitter account reported that it didn't come across well and was taken down. Watch Dogs. Bomb squads called in. Everyone in Australia's 9MSN office were sent home from a bomb scare one afternoon when a black safe was delivered by an unknown courier. It had a suspicious letter attached that said, "Check your voicemail." After staff came over to inspect the safe, enter in a few pin codes to try and open it, it began to beep, sending everyone into a tizzy, scared that it could be an explosive. PowerGig. Guitars in Volcano. I think we can all agree that no one thinks Guitar Hero or Rock Band are significant replicas on real instrumental function. Well, the marketing team for PowerGig thought it was time to point that out to the world, in the biggest way ever. They bundled up a lot of fake gaming guitars, flew them in a plane over a huge volcano with lava on top, and tossed them in, letting them burn to bits. Dead Space 2. Film Your Mother. Upon Dead Space 2's arrival, 200 mothers were selected to get recorded while playing the game. Of course, these older women had no idea games were bloody and disgusting like this. It was hilarious to see their reactions, but after releasing the video, it generated a ton of controversy. Splinter Cell Conviction. Staged murder threat. Right before the release of Splinter Cell Conviction, a man in Auckland walked in and pointed a gun at everyone. Everyone was terrified and the police were called in. After everything calmed down and the police showed up, everyone found out it was just an actor with a fake gun hired to portray a character from the game. And if you like what we're doing, go ahead and click that subscribe button. See you soon.